In this video, we're going to spend a few minutes talking about catalog item variables and how to access them in workflow and use them in various activities in workflow. So as you look at the screen here, we're looking at a list of items. So this is the maintain items list for the catalog, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the iPhone 5 item, which we use a good bit in demonstrations. So here's the record for that item, and if I scroll down, you'll notice there's 5 variables that have been defined. And so when you define an item, you can define any number of variables for a given item, and then the data that is entered in when the item is ordered is available to you in a workflow so that you can maybe put it in an email notification or use it to make a decision or do something like that. And so what I'm going to show you is how you access this information that's keyed into these variables in the workflow. And so scrolling back up, the workflow associated with this item is procurement process flow mobile. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. So here's the workflow that's going to execute when that item is ordered. And so what I did was added a couple of activities to the beginning here just to show you how to access some of the variables. So if I double click on this run script activity, you'll see in here that I've put some script that goes out and queries the request item table and uses the current sysID for the item to get back that record. And then down here it's going to loop through and pull out the variables that are associated to that item. But before I talk about that, the other thing to mention here is that you can directly reference the variables. So if you know the name of the variable, so in this case you see we've got .data plan right there, so current variables .data plan. If we go back to the item definition and scroll down, you can see here data plan is the name of the variable. So, carrier, data plan, duration, color, storage, you could reference those directly that way. What I've done here is I'm just iterating through all of the variables related to the item and then sending them out to or adding a new variable to the workflow scratchpad, and then it creates it. We're creating it right here, and what this is going to do is concatenate a string together of the variable name and then the values of the variable, so you can easily see that. And then the next thing we do is I'll just simply send an email with the contents of that variable, so you can see that the data that is ordered, or the data that is keyed in when the order for an iPhone is placed, actually comes through and gets sent out as an email. So the next piece here is to go ahead and place an order so we can see all that happen. So I've switched back to my iPhone 5, and of course these items all have this triad option, so I'm going to use this triad option to go ahead and place the order for the item. So I'll scroll down here, go ahead and select 500, 12, black, and 64, and notice carrier is not on here, so it probably has a UI policy or something that's preventing that from being displayed. So go ahead and click order now. So here's our confirmation screen. So as you look at this screen here, here's our workflow stages. So this process has started. And so what we can do now is, if we wanted to, we could actually go and click into the item and see the see the entries for the workflow. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you that. So we show you that the workflow is kicked off. So here's the runtime view, so we can see that we've gone through the run script and we've gone through notifications, and it's sitting in a catalog task wait state at this point. But what we really want to do is go look at the code that executed in that run script. So the way that's done is there's really two things we did. We wrote variable information to the log, and then we also sent an email. So as you look down here, we've got system logs. So I just typed in logs up here in the text search, and it brought me to anything that matches that. So system logs has email logs and script log statements. Kind of as a quick tip, one of the things I do is I always put those two things as bookmarks in my instance, so I can quickly see the information in those logs without having to navigate here every time. So if I want to look at the system log, I can just click on my bookmark, refresh the list, and now you'll see here is the information we wrote out to the log right there. So you can see storage was 64, data plan was 500, the catalog item was Apple iPhone 5, the color was black, and so these things are all coming out of that run script activity that we that we created in the workflow. We also added a concatenated string together of the variable values to an email, to that email notification, so I can get there simply by either clicking on emails here or going to my bookmark for it, which is what I'm going to do here. So go ahead and refresh that list. And so here is the latest email that has been sent. You can see here there's this list of variables, which is what I called that email script. That's what I put in the subject line for the email. And this allows you to actually see the content of the email that will be sent out. So instead of having to go to an email client, I can just check it within my instance. I'll go down here to the preview HTML body, and you can see there's the list of variables with their values. And notice carrier is empty because carrier wasn't displayed. It's still there, but it doesn't have a value. And so that both of those things were done in our email script. Or in our run script and email script. So I'll just show you that here. So here's where we're sending out the catalog item name, and then this loop is actually doing the writing out the pool variable value and the variable name and variable value, and then the notification here. So our list of variables, and then here's that list. So that's it, just a quick example of how to access the variable information that comes in from a catalog item in workflow. And of course that can be referenced in any activity downstream in workflow as well.